What's up, guys? Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to whenever and wherever you are listening to this. This is tonight's Neurotic Talk, the podcast. My name's Junior,
And I'm Mina.
and thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my God, Mina, this is our first podcast. What?
Mhm.
How does this come to be?
I don't know. It's so crazy that I just can't believe this was the last thing I would think I'd be where I'm at.
Absolutely. Now, if anyone is ever wondering, did this take months in the creating? Like, do we have a team? Do we even have a manager? The answer to those questions are literally no. This came up as an idea and it kind of just stuck in our heads like 3 days ago, and then it was brought up again today, and we just were like, fuck it, let's just make our own podcast. And to conclude that, just about our first sponsorship. Wait a minute. Let's have this sink in real good. Mina, our
Right?
first sponsorship.
I know. First episode, first sponsorship. It's already getting big for us.
Usually sponsorships don't even happen till like the fifth episode for some people, and that's only if you're not already famous, might I just ask?
Yeah, this is beyond my mind is blown right now.
It is absolutely spectacular, and this first sponsorship is by Anchor, which is the platform that we are using right now to produce and upload our podcast. Now, just give a little rewind. Anchor is 100% free. FREE. Now, that is a big word that we like to use as young folks because everyone likes everything free. Now, if you're wondering, how do I use Anchor? What is Anchor? Like I said, Anchor is a podcast platform. You and your friends can join and make your own guys' podcast for free. And now, if you're wondering, well, how do I even use the app? Like, this app is so difficult to use. Don't worry, in your main page, there's always going to be a few other podcasts just for you, that helps you how to create your podcast, how to edit your podcast, how to take out clips of what you don't want in there, maybe you save those clips for later, how to upload an intro or music to said podcast or background music just in case it gets too quiet for any of those people, and literally upload this podcast to here. And not to even mention, Anchor will also upload your podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and of course, Anchor itself. How amazing is that?
And it doesn't just pay you one time. It pays you every single time one of you viewers listens to us. Or a viewer listens to you in one of your podcasts.
Now, that is a way to not only earn money, but also just save it. So maybe in the future, when it comes to the rest of our podcast for future seasons, we can also use that money to incorporate mics and cameras, and of course our YouTube channel. Wait a minute now. Not even mention, we also have a Instagram account. So please, 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 please follow our Instagram and our YouTube account. And not to mention that we also have a Gmail account for our listeners and our viewers to send us requests of maybe you guys need advice for something, or ask us certain questions, or even to tell us silly stories. Now, Mina, would you like to explain to our wonderful viewers what exactly is the Neurotic Talk?
Well, the neurotic talk really is to talk about what's on your mind. Though when you're at nighttime and you really can't go to sleep, or you're at a job and you're working night shift and you're really you want to just think and your mind's just going wild. We're here pretty much to listen to those thoughts and to speak our own thoughts that we just randomly have throughout the night. And even things that we want to get off our chest, things that are problems that we have during the day, problems that we've had with loved ones, because, family can be tough. But You have to find the common ground and then talk about it. And that's what we're here to do.
Exactly. Now, if you're wondering, does this podcast even apply to me? 100% sure. If you're an early bird riser or you're just a nocturnal animal, this podcast is always for you. And what better way to have a podcast that's just literally here for you, put it that way. And trust me, we'll be talking about a bunch of topics: family, friends, gossip, ex friends. Might I just ask? Cough, cough. We all know who those are. And also a little intro about us as well. Now, me and Nina used to work together, and I believe we have some pretty interesting stories to tell of who exactly we work with. And now, before anyone jumps the gun, we've have changed names to keep this anonymous. Now, just remind our viewers, we are a low-profile podcast. Many people knows us, and we don't want the FBI to get involved.
So, for these stories, let's say the main character will be Bert.
Oh God, I can only guess who that is.
Yes, we all know who Bert is. We all have that Bert in our life, don't we all?
A Bert and a Karen, the most beautiful couple ever. Not to mention that when we did used to work together, that Nina was there before me, and I was there for like about 6 months, of course, and within those 6 months, I've had plenty colorful conversations with Bert and just a few mishaps with Karen. Not very much on a scale 1 to 10 when it comes to Bert. I believe the first problem I ever had with Bert was, I believe I told you this, Nina, was about when he texted my mother about me.
Oh, wait. I think I do know, but I'm not quite sure if I'm exactly where your head is. Explain a little bit.
So, a few months of into working together, closing one night like we always do at the store that we used to work at. Um, I remember now. Let me just go back a little bit. Bert, every once in a while, which is actually a lot often, um, would make the other coworkers who, let's say, that weren't as high as him position wise, he will make us do his work for him so he can catch up on something else. Now, depending on what it is, it wasn't really that big of a deal. And one night, I just so happened to be doing a job that he was supposed to be doing. I was really interested in doing this job. Plus, it got me off of what my typical job was, so I was totally okay with that. And everything was literally fine. Like, nothing happened that night. No snapping, no attitude. We did not have any rude customers that evening. And so we go home. Now, the next morning, I have to work. And I go into work. I see him again. We close again. I come off of work, and I'm sitting outside my mom. And we're talking, like we always do. And she comes to me and says, "Oh, Bert texted me last night through Messenger, Facebook Messenger." And this is what he had to say. Now, a little, way more feedback is that Bert used to work for my mom. My mom is an entrepreneur. She has her own businesses. She is skyrocketing. Even through this pandemic, she's still making those bags. Like I said, Bert used to work for my mom, and so they're mutual friends on Facebook.
I
And
did
so,
not know that.
yeah, he used to work with her for like a few years ago. Like, I think right before he started working at Win Dixie. Because my
That's
mom's,
insane.
yeah, so that's how this is how the problem created. Now, this is not the first time that Bert has drunk texted mom, put it that way. Yeah. Now, granted, it wasn't as to the degree what this conversation is about. So basically, after I think it was Wednesday, after closing Wednesday with Bert, He texted my mom that evening. She was asleep, literally asleep. That's how late this text went out. Not to mention she was asleep next to my dad, so if my dad ever like reached for her phone and like saw like, a text message from this like rando guy, there was gonna be so much issues in the morning. Thank God they didn't happen. So come Thursday, um, get home, me and mom are talking about our days, and she showed me a text message. And Bert wrote that your daughter has so much potential. She's gonna go places with this company, but your daughter's an ass. Like, she's a pain in the ass. He literally said that to my mom.
Oh my God. That I couldn't imagine, like, part of me would like die laughing, and the other part of me, I don't even think I'd look him in his face like when I went back to work. Like,
Oh, trust me, I did not. I got the biggest attitude ever. My mom was laughing because there's like always that parent, like, child type relationship where she literally said like it's usually the parent that says that the child's being a pain in the ass, but not coworker saying that. Mind you, a grown man. And so I'm like in shock. I'm like looking at her. I'm like, nothing happened that night. Like nothing, everything was fine. I didn't have any problems with him. And so like I'm just so confused of like why this just so came to be. And I'm reading the text messages and I'm looking at the time and it's like midnight. We close at 10, so he had all that time from the time we left work to go back to his place, wherever the hell he lives at, sorry, get super drunk within an hour just to text him out of that. The next morning comes and I'm going to work dreadfully. I'm dreading to see him. And I literally told everyone. Now, yes, I know that I shouldn't have, but I'm like literally getting advice from everyone. I even got advice from Karen. I was like, what the hell do I do with this?
oh my God. Yeah, you never told me that. That is, I am like, there is no words for that right there.
Right? And so, Karen, she's like, it's super sweet. She goes, well, I would talk to him first and then figure it out. And if it doesn't go anywhere, then I would bring um, our like general manager and our hiring manager into the situation. Let's just say I jumped the gun and I continued to jump the gun and I just brought it up to our general manager and our hiring manager, well, at least one of the hiring managers, because our original hiring manager was on vacation for that week, almost 2 weeks in a way. And so he comes in his typical time and he doesn't say a word to me, practically ignores my existence. Now, mind you, I literally already talked to every employee that we work with about this. And they pretty much said the same thing. Either you talk to him, try to make amends, or just go for a general manager, because this wasn't the first time that Bert has done something so stupid to literally everyone he worked with. And so I gave it time, and then 2 hours in of him coming into work, he tries to boss me around. Excuse me? Confused face on. I was like, who do you think you're talking to? You're not gonna talk to me like that. You are my coworker. You are not my employer. You are not my manager. You're not my boss. You do not get to tell me anything, thinking that you're Jesus or something. And
Yes,
so,
I was about to say, like, he's not even a manager. He's like, not, like, my mom would say he's like probably head cashier, but I don't even think he's that high.
not even close. Glorified cashier. That's what we always used to say. And so I like completely snapped at him. I didn't even snap at him. Like he was trying to tell me something, and like I'm like, okay, okay. And he was like, okay, well, guess you're not gonna do what you get told to. And I was like, oh, here it comes. And so I sadly deleted this video, but I literally recorded me talking to um, the second hiring manager and our general manager about it. And they both said that they would talk to him and try to figure out something but in the meantime, like keep your distance. And so that's exactly what I did for the remainder week, up until our actual hiring manager comes back in. And so she gets told about it. And like I said, a few days already passed through. I'm like completely over the situation. And she comes to me at least 8 days after the incident happened. And she was like, I'm so sorry I haven't gotten give you a chance to explain what exactly happened. So I explained to her, and I also told her, I was like, listen, I'm not upset with it anymore. It just bothers me that he still hasn't acknowledged it. Like, this man has a phone. I'm pretty sure he goes on social media just about at any given time, and I'm pretty sure he saw the messages that he sent to my mother and chooses to ignore it. And so she told him to talk to me and to apologize for me. And so he apologized a day later after me and her had that conversation. And I just looked at him, I'm like, okay, thanks. I didn't even accept the apology. This apology was so ass wipe. Like, completely, like, dog shit apology. It was like,
Oh,
oh, make sure it doesn't happen again.
that's like horrible. And mostly doing something that inappropriate, that's not something that you should just be like, oh, I'm sorry. That we want a heartfelt apology, please.
Yeah. None of them mentioned, Jamie from Delhi. Do you remember her? Jamie from Delhi, was like, yo, like, something like this, you should take it immediately to corporate, like, get his ass fired, because this should be like the last straw. Sadly, that did not happen. I wish it did. My days would be so much better if it did happen. But of course, we clearly moved on from that situation.
Well,
So, have you ever had an issue with Bert?
I'm not really Bert, but there was talking about the whole going to corporate and that might help. I do not believe that helps one bit because when I first started working there, well, let's say we'll call this kid or this guy Charlie. Okay. Uh, I started working there and like he'd always come over and like help me out with what I was doing. And every time he'd like always come really close and like one time he asked if I wanted to hang out sometime. And this guy is pretty like my dad's age, like older, way older, inappropriate. And I tried to just shrug it off, giggle like no. And one day I was coming in with my mom to get groceries, and she noticed that he was looking at me, and he literally looked me up and down, and like was like, mm-mm. And
Oh,
my mom was furious, literally glared at this guy so hard. And my dad went to the managers, talked to them, they did nothing. We went to corporate and they like called me and they're like, so what happened? And I told them and they're like, did you witness this? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, there's nothing really we can do about it, but if he does it again, let us know. And it happened again, I believe. And then we contacted them again. And they pretty much said that they quote unquote talked to him and that he would stop. And then the new girl started working there and she's younger than I am. And I guess that he was doing the same thing to her. And I'm just like, you already got talked to by corporate and you're going to continue doing this at the job, mostly with girls that are way younger than you? This job seriously is like very shady in my opinion. Like good for a starter job, but nothing that someone should be like working at for their whole life.
yeah, no, I think it should never be a forever job. I'm quite astounded of how some people have like the name tags and it's like colorized for like how long they've been there. I was like, oh, I've been there for like 20 something years. I was like, for why? For who? Like, I get it, you love the job, but you can't love a job that much, especially a job that's supposedly meant for younger kids. But I remember I had my fair shares of Charlie asking me to hang out with him, and at first I was creeped out, but literally after the third time, I just like I'll look at him like I'll either pretend to ignore him or I would be like, yeah, 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 and just walk away with just much clever. Do you remember that one time? I don't. If I remember it correctly, you were there, where I was like leaning over the counter. I was like doing something, or like leaning over the register, and he like plays with my hair.
Oh my God, I think I was there.
I think
I
you.
was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And he always comes up behind people and like puts his hand on your shoulder and like rubs it. And I'm just like, you guys allow this?
It's actually so funny because everyone there, like above like 5'2", is considered taller than him.
He is the smallest one there.
That is true. Now, granted, Charlie does have, and I hope I'm saying this properly, a mental disability, not like depression or any of that, but like, just not all there in the head in a way. So it's like it's sort of an excuse, but there's always a line of how much this excuse can carry on. Now for Walter's a complete sweetheart. He's an amazing person. Sadly, he's not there as often as Charlie, but he's just as fantastic, of course. And I'm gonna miss them. I'm not gonna lie. I truly do miss them. At my new job, I just don't even work up there. And not to mention that there's a bunch of young kids in that department, and not to mention there's this really cute guy in my department, and he's tall and he's like the same age as me, and he's cute, and I don't know what to do with him. Well, I do, but I just don't want to say it. I feel like I would be cheating on I feel like I'd be cheating on T-Rex if I did.
Oh my God. What's available is kind of.
Truth be told, as you should.
There's so many guys that seriously, I'm still waiting on the guy with the beautiful eyes. Literally, like he's come in like 3 times and he hasn't come in like almost a month. I'm like, oh my God, can just someone come through? Just one person? Let's play Bachelorette. Come on, let's go.
Hey God, it's me again.
Be like, I got a dozen roses. What do you want?
Let's go. It's Valentine's season. Speaking of Valentine's, do you have any plans?
Probably I'll be my own Valentine, wrapped up in a blanket, eating chocolate-covered strawberries.
Me for the past 20 years of my life. I possibly might be doing something this Sunday with a friend, of course. Single ladies. Cough, cough. Thank you very much.
Is it like a singles day? Like we're gonna go just do a ladies' day?
Probably. I was hinting that me and her, whoever that also joins us, to go like clubbing in a way. But seeing we have work Monday morning, we won't be able to do that, sadly. So possibly just, getting dolled up, going to a nice dinner with prices that we shouldn't even consider paying, or like just prices that are overhead, and of course taking photo shoots, and of course giving flowers. I do plan on getting my mom something, and possibly my little brother as well, and of course my friends and you as well.
Yes, speaking of that, I just got my mom a bouquet of Valentine's roses because she bought a thing of flowers the other day from Walmart, and like they were like good, like they like wilted like the next day, and she was very sad. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this for you, and she was so happy about it. I'm like, see, just a little thing of giving your mother flowers makes everything so much better.
It does. My mom absolutely loves flowers. I remember just recently, she bought a bouquet of flowers, and a lot of them were wilted in them, so I had to take it back. And I didn't pay for it in the first place, but I did take it back, and it allowed me to pick out more flowers. for the exact same price and just pay the difference if I get more. And so I did that exactly. And just to come to realize, all the flowers that I bought were the ones that my mom didn't like.
Oh my God. That's something I would have totally done.
I had no idea. I was buying the most prettiest flowers, like long lasting flowers. And the first thing my mom says was, "These are funeral flowers." Funeral flowers? A queen? And
Oh my God.
yeah, she did explain like he bought like long lasting flowers, they don't smell. And like I remember looking at it and I was like, what about baby's breath? That's like you use that for like weddings and stuff like that. She goes, yeah, they'll be the last thing to die too. I'm like, oh god. So next time when it comes to flower picking, I'll just stick to roses or have my dad do them.
Just text and be like, Dad, quick, what are the favorite flowers? I need it.
Exactly. I was gonna say, speaking of dads, I literally asked my dad, I was like, do you guys have any plans for Valentine's Day? And he just straight up said no. What is the day of love, daddy?
Be like, you're supposed to like make like heart stuff and cards and romantic things, take her out to dinner. You're supposed to celebrate it.
Yeah. Now I do understand that like a lot of couples were like, oh, why is there should be only one day to love someone when you can love them all the time? Well, yes. But we are in 2021. I believe now, by law, Valentine's Day should be only for singles.
Yeah, I agree to that. That would be like the golden right there. You were saying how you're gonna like take pictures and all that stuff. We seriously, like not joking, we need to talk to Pancake and get some like tips from that guy because I swear he takes the most flawless photos in the world.
100%. I feel like sometimes when I look at his, like the photos he posts on like social media, especially Instagram, it feels expensive to even look at them. I feel like I should be paying him to like allow me to like look at his photos.
It's like here's spare change for your photos, please.
Just in like the Dobby voice from Harry Potter. Spare change, my child.
Spare change.
Please. I'm trying to feed my family.
Like, I just want some photos, that's all.
It just makes it OnlyFans, but it's just his photos. It's not even like nudes or videos. It's just him fully dressed in his room. Just
Dude,
this is my good side.
yes. Oh my God. He has, like I said, he has the whole umbrella lights, and I swear I couldn't even imagine having those. Like he had one on each side, and I was like, you are like a literal model right there.
Not to mention, he also has I think the 11. Yes, he has the 11 iPhone, and so you already know those photos are top tier, chef kiss quality.
Yes. And he knows how to do the whole like aesthetic with like the filters where it's like 5 different pictures and like a specific spot with like different decorations on it, and I'm like I don't even know how to do that like at all.
Right? Usually I just go on Disco and just pick out a filter and be like, this is the one, and just send it on this merry way.
I could not imagine it. Like, and he is so good. He doesn't even like use filters that much. He is like awesome with no filters. I am not that great with that. I always use filters.
So do I. And my dad absolutely hates it. He's always saying, you're beautiful, you don't need filters. I was like, Daddy, this is for the social media. I gotta look good. I look good in person, don't get me wrong. But I look better on social media.
My mom does the same thing. She's like, you don't have to do it. You look beautiful without it. And I'm like, see, it's kind of like makeup. It's just like art, but it's a picture that you post on social media instead of just my face.
100%. The amount of times where I would just I'll take a photo, makeup on, with the filter. It's my makeup. It makes me look better.
Yes. It's like foundation, but without caking your face.
This is all natural, but not the camera. Now, I can completely understand of our viewers being so questionable of the neurotic, the tonight's neurotic talk. Like, where did this come from? Like, what does the word neurotic even mean?
If I'm correct, I actually think the neurotic is like people not with anxiety or but they're like anxious at night that they're just really they can't stop moving around. Not like kind of like ADHD, but they like I said, the whole getting having things just bounce through your mind. You just want to talk to someone about, but usually there might not be someone there at that moment. And that's why we are here because we want to hear those thoughts, which you can send to our email, which is tonight's neurotic talk at gmail.com. And we will answer those questions. And even if you want to send anonymous stories of your own stories about your life or hard times you're going through, we will tell them here, of course, with no like identity being told of what those stories are being told as, but also just to talk about just things that we want to get out of our minds and just out in the open.
100% right. Like, there's been so many times where we just been up late at night and just cannot go to sleep. Like, the latest I ever stood up with just dwelling in my thoughts to the point where not even music can help was probably 3 a.m. And now, just to get on the topics of questions, what is the most intrusive thought that you ever had that just made you like if you're laying down, just like lay up and just be like, why the fuck did I think about that?
There's so many to even like the main one that always gets me is just thinking about so many people that are my age and where they are in life. Some of my friends that I used to have like have kids now, even though I'm only like 18. Ridiculous. And then you also think of like people like not superstars, celebrities that are my age, and you see where they are in life, and I'm over here and I just have a normal job. I go to school and I go home. It's nothing really big, and it's always just like you see them that they're your age, and it's like, how are they there when I'm over here just pretty much doing school, just going to a normal job, and then coming home and sitting and just watching TV at normal, just blah days. And it just really hits you at nighttime because that's the time that you're always just sitting there and you're just thinking, and it doesn't really bother me, but you just always have it on the back of your mind that like you just want to do something with your life. And that's really why I love having this podcast and being out there, because we get to hear people's stories and we get to talk to people and we get to experience different things besides just having a normal day.
I 100% agree. It's kind of shocking that we, one, breathe the same air as most celebrities, including the ones who are around our ages, and it just kind of makes you like wonder, like, where do we go wrong? like what is something we just didn't do to become that successful at such a young age? Like, we've always heard about child actors or childhood actors still continuing their career to like 30, 40 years old, sometimes even 60 for some people. But of course, the ones who made it. And I 100% agree. I am so blessed with this podcast, and hopefully in the nearest future, we will, one, reveal who we exactly are, and two, to have other people like experience this with us and to give shout outs to other people, like, hey, go listen to this podcast, they're so great, they always listen to you and always answer your questions and give advice and talk stories. And the amount of times where it's just super late at night and you're in your deep conversations. Now, everyone would be lying if they said that they never had a deep conversation with themselves. The amount of times where I would just be up late at night thinking that I'm a celebrity, getting ready to go on the morning show, like for an interview, countless, countless. But there's been so many more times where I would just be in my intrusive and just almost like deep dark demons thoughts, and I just kind of just say like, oh my god, I just wish someone was here with me right now, just to also talk to, or to give me advice, or just for the pure fact of not being alone. So we are so happy we did this, and we are so happy that there's people out there who are just like us, and hopefully we can also be that outlet for you guys, of course, as well as ourselves. Um, Now, crazy question, I just add, what is the most craziest thing that ever happened to you that, let's just say, just so happened to happen in the middle of the night, or when you're out and it's just so late with your friends?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Uh, there's a few memories that I have, but a lot of them were when I was a kid, and actually a lot of them were when I was with my family, with my mom and dad, because back when I was a little kid, we always walked to the buffet that was like down the street, and it was always like snowing, and it was like very cold, and on the way home everyone would be stuffed, and everyone would end up probably wrestling into the snow, and probably someone would end up getting hurt because everyone is clumsy. The whole entire family is clumsy. And it was just always fun memories of just literally just attacking each other at nighttime, playing hide and go seek. There was so many times we would go into like graveyards or the woods and like play hide and go seek, and there were so many times you wouldn't be found, and it would be kind of scary. But luckily you would be found because I had light up sneakers, so it was kind of cheating for them.
The Skechers like hot pink light up sneakers. Oh god.
So yeah, I had those ones, yeah. And then like there was we went to my mom's friend's house, and out back they had a cornfield, and we used to like run back through there and like go play hide and go seek through there as well. And that was just the main thing, like just exploring in places that we mostly will get lost in. That was the fun, getting lost.
Not me being paranoid of the cornfields. I remember when I was a child, as a school field trip, we went to a corn maze, and I lived in a completely different state at this time. And like I said, it was a field trip. Thank God my grandmother was a chaperone there, and I remember going on this field trip, and I remember getting lost in this corn maze, not knowing a damn thing about directions, not even a Boy Scout, Girl Scout type thing, and I was in there for so long, and I was lost for so long, to the point where the school bus actually left without me. Thank God my parents were there, and her friend was there as well. And as a child, you kind of thought that like this, like the place where we were was like across the state, like nowhere near us. Excuse me. And in reality, it was like an hour away from where we originally were. It's like there was a city, and then you get like suburban area, I believe, and then you get like rural area, which is like farms and stuff like that. So basically, where we were on a farm, a cornfield farm, and I got lost. And I think my craziest night experience ever happened, and this is like late at night and also paranormal, if I'm correct. I don't know how these correlate with each other, but I do remember that this was literally that same night. So in my hometown, there was a abandoned church, and we always called it Hell's Church. And the reason why it was called that because it was I think one of the oldest um, church slash like graveyard that we had in our town, probably second oldest. And it was a Baptist church, like old school Southern Baptist church. And um, so this pool was so old to the point where the stairs to the pool weren't like concrete or metal. You know how like on the side of the pools now it has like a metal stairs type thing. It had wooden stairs. And this pool, it was a very small pool, but it was very, very deep for some reason. And it was a uh, baptism pool. Like this is a place where people will go to get baptized in. Um, and so it's abandoned there. There's leaves, there's trees in there. There's a bunch of, I think the last time we went there, there was a bunch of really big, like brown recluse spiders in there. And I'm not one for spiders. And we were just fucking around, shooting BB guns at each other. I actually shot a BB gun pellet at my friend and hit him in his arm. And in my defense, he deserved it. And so right in front of this abandoned church was a graveyard of like, I'm talking about these graveyards when you read it and you look at the date of like when this person was born, when this person died, it was always in the 1800s, nothing exceeding into the 1900s. And if it was in the 1900s, it was like 1905, like not even close to like 1920s. But through the years of when it was abandoned, there's been a bunch of stories that people were hung in the forest that we were in. Babies were drowned in the river that was nearby. And we also got told that like you just hear and see things at night that obviously are not supposed to be there. And so I really do think about it. I am not the type of person for paranormal activities and like experiences, of course. And so I'm just rubbing it off my shoulders. I just don't care. So we walk back to the front and we're just walking around the graveyard. And me, deciding to be a dumbass, dances on the dead people's graves. Like,
Oh my god.
like you could like still see like where the spot would be at of where the caskets were buried, because it's like it lumps. And so I'm just dancing around, I'm flaunting on it, I'm doing like something so stupid like that. And my friends are like, "Oh, don't do that. The spirit's gonna get you. You're gonna be haunted. Yada yada yada." And me being me, I'm like, "Okay, you can go fuck yourself. Like the spirits can also go fuck themselves. Like I am a very firm believer of if you die, you stay dead. You don't come back to the earth and haunt anyone, or you don't see ghosts at night or stuff like that." So
Little
like I
did you
said,
know.
little did I know. um, that same night, I get dropped off. I'm going back to my apartment. I get in my room, and for some reason, my closet door would not open.
Oh hell no. Oh
It
no
like,
no no no.
and it wasn't one of those things where like the closet door also had a lock on it, because there's no such thing as having a lock on your closet door. The main door, I get it. The bathroom door, I also get it. But my closet door would not open for some reason. And at the moment, I kind of just thought that I used to have like a shoe rack hanging from the door from the inside. So I thought the little thing that goes above the door to make it sure it hangs there was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's just jammed. But it was the fact that usually when that happens, it doesn't get stuck. It's like tough to open. My door was stuck closed, like completely shut. It was to the point where I had to wake up my grandfather and ask him if he could open my door. That didn't work out. So we went for plan C, and we took the door off the hinges. And after we unhooked it from the wall, it took us the exact same amount of time to remove the door from the wall, even if it wasn't on its hinges. My door stood off the hinges for about 3 days. And I remember that night going into my closet when we finally got the door off, and I turned on my light. My grandfather already left, and for a slight second, I shit you not, Mina, my hangers from my clothes were moving just slightly, just like it looks like it stopped or it was stopping to move. And that was after I opened my door and there was no draft coming from like anything in the room. There's not a window in my closet. It's just a very small normal closet. And my clothes hangers were moving after we opened this impossibly stuck door.
I would have flipped out and would have never returned to that bedroom. Well, that's not true. I'd probably return and try to ghost hunt into that bedroom.
Just like downloads one of those like fake cheap like apps on your phone to talk to spirits, like one of those like spirit box.
I used to have those, not gonna lie, all the time.
When it comes to like paranormal stuff, I'm more of a person that will like watch YouTube videos on it and like Netflix stuff mostly, but never in my life have I experienced something like that. I wouldn't even call it an experience, just like having that moment exactly right after I decide to dance on dead people's graves who were probably during the Salem witch trials. Like, who would have thought?
I've never experienced anything like that, but I do have a story that my mom and dad and family always went ghost hunting, but I was always too young. I was never allowed to go. And my oldest brother, he didn't believe in ghosts, thought it was just the stupidest thing ever, not real. And so they went to a cemetery. And they surrounded this American flag that was right next to a tombstone. And they just sat around it in a circle. And my mom pretty much was like, can you just show him that you're real? Can you just, like, tell us that you're here type thing? Because they were asking the flag, like, yes or no questions. And, like, there was no breeze at all. And, like, the flag would pick up and move a certain way, like, as they were asking questions. And he didn't believe it. He thought it was just wind. So my mom's like, can you just show him that you're real, that you're here? And out of nowhere, he heard, like, it sounded like a boot, like, just slammed right in front of him on the dirt. And it sent him flying in the air right into my mom's lap. And that changed his whole entire aspect. He's like, yeah, I believe now. He's like, that was the most scariest thing I have ever been through.
I would have said nope so quick.
They have a lot of stories. Like, my dad was, they were going up a hill once, and, like, in my dad's ear, he heard a whisper of, hey, and it scared the crap out of him. And I think the same night they were going down the woods, and they heard, like, a bloody murder scream, like, down the creek, and there was no one there at all.
Not me being Spanish, be like, ah, que la llorona. Just the weeping women.
I was just like, I wish I was there. Like, that sounds fun.
And if I ever heard like someone who clearly wasn't near me, have I ever heard a voice saying, hey, my dumb ass would have been like, yeah, what's up? What's up? Just turns around and be like, hey, what happened?
Be like, hey, what's up? What do you want? Water? You want some food? You want a snack?
Oh, you cold? Same. Speaking of the word same, I absolutely hate it when you're trying to like let's say you're in a bad mood, like you're physically in a bad mood, and someone is like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm just upset. Like I'm just tired. I'm just sad." And they're like, "Oh, same." And then you just immediately go into like that caring mode. Or be like, "Oh, so what's wrong?" And they start ranting to you instead of them giving the opportunity to you to rant to them.
It's like, I'm the one sad here, not you.
Like, listen, babe, we all get sad sometimes. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But damn it, let me rant. Um, Speaking of ranting, and of course, asking questions.
There was one question that I wanted to ask. What was it?
Shoot for it.
I believe it was, what is the one thing that you are most, like, terrified of?
Now, are we talking about are we talking about like actual fears, like something realistic, or like something like a phobia type thing? Because I have plenty.
I'm just gonna say anything, like, even if it was something that would never really happen, just something that's the most terrifying thing I wish I'd never go through.
I believe the one that I could think of, like from the top of my head, was I have this weird, irrational but rational at the same time phobia type thing of heights, but not in the sense of like just being at like a very strong height, but like falling from that height in a way. And for the longest time, I was always afraid of roller coasters. Like, I did not get on the roller coasters till I was 18, which is really late for some people in their lives, but I did not get on a roller coaster for many, many years. And I remember it was with a group of friends, and I am still friends with at least one of those people within that group. And it was Father's Day, 2018. We went to Six Flags, and they were like, "So we're gonna go on the biggest, tallest, fastest ride, like roller coaster. Therefore, when you get on the other ones, they're not gonna be that much." And so the ride was called the Goliath. I don't know who made up that name. And I'm perfectly fine up until you get to the area where you have like the chains in front of you, like on the sides, and you can like visibly see the seats for the ride. It wasn't until then I started panicking. I'm talking about like anxiety attack, crying, heart beating fast, like I'm about to have a heart attack type thing. And I'm looking at my friend, and her name's Chloe. I will say her name. I do have permission to give out the story. And I'm like, "Chloe, give me your hand, give me your hand." She goes, "Why, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "Do you feel that?" She goes, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I'm like, "Apparently not." And it was so embarrassing because here I am, 18 years old, like on the verge of tears on a ride that I never got on, and there was a bunch of people near us on a Father's Day weekend. We get closer, I panic more, and we were next in line. The tears were rolling down my face, and we go on the ride. We're getting strapped in. At this point, I'm sobbing. I am talking to all my friends, but like, "Can I get off? Can we just do this another day?" Like, cough, cough, I don't feel good. And they're like, "No, no, no, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be fine." And we get strapped in, and it wasn't one of those type of roller coasters where it goes over your head and like locks you in from like the shoulders. It locked us in from our waist, so it came from front of us.
No. I cannot do that, no.
Mind you, this is also my first roller coaster, so I'm already second guessing the safety precautions. And so the workers come around, they're checking the seats, make sure it's not nice and locked in. And this beautiful woman, clearly older than me, um, was like, "What's wrong, sweetheart? Are you okay?" Could not answer her. And my friend Chloe was like, "This is her first ride, like first like roller coaster ever." They're like, "Oh my god!" But the way they said "Oh my god" was more like, "Oh my god, you guys are putting her on this ride instead of like a kiddie ride." And um, so she looked at me. She goes, "You're gonna be fine. It's gonna be over before it begins. Like you're safe." And I couldn't see her because that's how much like water was in my eyes. We hadn't even left. Like we did not even move for a solid minute. The people in front of us were looking back and were like, "Is she okay?" Because we sat like near the middle. The people in line were giving me obviously dirty looks, weirded out looks as well of why is this girl crying. We get off, and basically how the ride is set up is it's one steep uphill and then it drops and then it's like loops in a way. um Chloe said I black out. She said that at some point I stopped screaming and my mouth was just wide open, and I was still like awake, but I just stopped screaming. And I was the only one screaming during the ride. Maya just asked. Everyone else was enjoying themselves but me. And we got off the ride and they're like, "See, it wasn't that bad. How was it?" I'm like, "It was okay." Just nonchalant. Chill like a cucumber. It was okay. So I guess you could say that was my rational fear. And I think my deep thought, intrusive fear would be probably learning, like if it ever, like hypothetically speaking, if the people around me actually didn't care about me or didn't really love me to an extent.
That's I've actually never really thought of that type of fear.
Yeah. I'm just big brain like that, you know? I'm just sad boy hours like that.
No, but I've been in that one type situation. I actually never went on a roller coaster until I was 16. We
Doing
went
better
to
what I
Busch
did.
Gardens. Yeah, we went to Busch Gardens, and of course, the first ride that I picked was the Sheikra, which is the one that you go all the way up, and then it hangs you down for like 2 seconds, and then drops you. And I also have a horrendous fear of heights, and I don't like the feeling and sensation of being dropped. So we picked the front row, which happened to hang the farthest off at the top. And I swear there was one moment like I stopped breathing for like a good 3 seconds. Like I was awake, I wasn't screaming, I took a deep breath and there was no air coming out.
Sometimes you just die a little and then you just like awoken, like rebirthed at that exact moment right before it drops.
And it happened again when we went to the water park. There's the drop slide where you stand on it and it drops you down. And again, terrified of heights, don't like feeling like a dropping. And my brothers went up there and they made me go up with them. And I chickened out, and luckily they have a slide that's the side that you can just go down. And my cousin went up there with me, and she ended up going down the dropping slide, and I went to chicken out again. And my dad looked at me, grabbed my arm, and pushed me toward the dropping slide. He's like, "Your cousin did that?" He's like, "You're going to do that too." He's like, "I am not allowing you to go down that chicken slide." And I was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "There's a line of people. I can't panic quick enough." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And he literally is like, "Go down that slide right now. You are my daughter. You are going down that slide." And like, they're like, don't put your arms up, you'll get hurt. And like as I dropped, my arms went up, and you saw the guy's face pretty much like face palm. He's like, ah.
I remember also doing that in Orlando at Volcano Bay, which is through Universal Studios, and it was for my mother's and my friend's birthday weekend because my mother's was like on the 7th and my friend's was on the 9th. So on the 8th, we just went to the park and we all did the drop. It was me, her, and her now ex-boyfriend. And she went first, the daredevil that she is. And she did the exact same thing where her arms were supposed to be crossed, and then as she dropped her, she like was trying to grab on to the sides of the container you're in. Then her boyfriend went easy as prob, like just super easy. Oh god, I chickened out for like 5 minutes, and I like let these two younger kids. I'm talking about less than 90 pounds, like 10-year-olds go before me, and they're like, we've been on it before, it's so fun. I was like, oh, okay. So I let them go first, and Ellie was like really impatient because this was last year during August, so this is like the peak of the pandemic, everyone is strict wearing a mask and stuff like that, especially Universal, which is actually a really good thing due to the unfathom of social distancing. And so this guy behind me, near my age, a little bit older, he has a scruff going on, adorable guy, just super cute. He was like, yeah, do it. I was like, oh fuck, not gonna impress this motherfucker. And so I'm in the container, I'm shaking, and the funny thing about the container is that it has like a timer. It doesn't count down, but you hear the beep. It was like Hunger Games type thing. And then I drop, and like I close my eyes. I'm like praying that I don't see the day. And it was over before it began, and I was quite proud of myself for doing that.
I was the same. I was very proud. I'm like, I did it. I can say I did it, but I will never do it again. Never in my life.
Absolutely. And let's not even mention the stairs you have to take to get up to the height.
The stairs itself is a ride that's terrifying. I don't like it. It sways.
What?
There are steps that like you go up because the slide's so tall, and because of the wind, you'll feel it swaying. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna die. We're gonna drop right now.
No water needed. Just climbing up the stairs feels like an exercise by itself. Like you don't have to exercise for the next few weeks because you already got in like 2,000 steps.
That's why they sell ice cream and Dippin' Dots. They're like, you burnt some calories. Here, fill it up.
The $7 hot dogs and the $5 refillable drinks. Let's see. Well, consider it's nearly midnight, or almost midnight. I think we should get into our little deep conversations. Now, I know I talked about this a few minutes ago about pretending you're a celebrity and pretending you're going on an interview. Have you ever done that?
Oh, so many times. It's ridiculous. Like, I pretend like I'm in bands with people, like famous bands. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like the lead singer, so cool. And then like the person that I'm quote unquote interviewing or getting interviewed by, they're like, oh, you are so like cool. How do you do this? And it's like, I might look crazy to other people, but in my head, I'm like, yes, superstar.
100% me. My go-to is always a movie actor or an actress or a TV show actress, and my go-to questions are like, oh, so how do you feel working with this so-and-so person, like another celebrity name? And I always would be like, you know what, it's been a great honor working with them. They're so humble and funny. They make every day at work enjoyable. There's never a dull moment. And next question, Oh, who is your go-to band when it comes to these conversations?
Ah, oh. That's, I think that has to be one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked.
Because I'm thinking like Paramore for you, like 2009.
Oh, Paramore's pretty good, yeah. What would yours be?
Mine would be, um, granted, I am a Harry Potter fan, so my interviews always involved with, God, Tom Felton, the love of my
Yes,
life,
Draco Malfoy.
the Draco Malfoy. To this very second, I am still determined that one day I will meet him and make him fall in love with me and to marry me, like 100%. I want to be future Mrs. Felton, even though the possibilities are so thin of this happening.
I'm the same way, but I'm with the Jungkook. I I will go to Korea and I will like be on my knees, be like, please, just come home with me, just one
Please,
day,
please marry
just
me.
one day.
Just like you don't even have to get a visa. Just take me.
Like, I'll move here. I'll move across the country. That's no problem.
I've seen so many TikToks about um people our age, to be exact. Almost like, I guess the best way you could put it as, um students, like college students, leaving the US to go live abroad with a student visa, and you guys can like work over there and live over there for however you want and literally go to a college over there, university over there. Or the other TikToks of people, um, adults, put it that way, 30, almost 30 years old, living overseas, and a lot of them on my For You page has always been like England and, like the Asian countries area, like Korea, mainland Korea or Japan. And I've seen a few of Canada as well, our family neighbor. Um, Apparently, they have free healthcare, which is not that bad.
Yeah, I've actually, my brother and I were thinking about that as well. We're like, maybe we can just like do like a foreign exchange over there. Like, maybe we'll find like a soulmate. You never know.
You truly never know. And on top of that, it's always a beautiful thing to move into a place that is, well, historic and beautiful, and meeting new people and finally eating good food in a way. And because I think we can all agree that when it comes to, different ethnic, foods here in America, it's just not the same of what you experience in other countries. Like a lot of the Greek restaurants we have here, they're always like about gyros or gyros, um, food, when Greece is way more than that, or Italy is way more than just pizza and pasta, or how, well, granted, Asian countries are well known for sushi, which is something they have there. Pretty sure it tastes way more expensive than what we have here, and good udon and ramen noodles.
Yes. Well, and plus, like, what was it? Like, when you go across, it's like the whole life is short, and like doing all those traveling and experiencing that culture, I feel really builds who you are as like your character. You get to experience life like you're supposed to. I don't believe that we're supposed to just sit here at home and just do a boring job and then come home, go to sleep, and do it all over again. I think we're supposed to be exploring and realizing what is out there in the world.
I 100% agree on. I feel like no one should be working a 9 to 5 job for the rest of their lives without some sort of excitement. Now, don't get me wrong, vacations are always wonderful, but that's just what they are. They're just a vacation, that a week time spans or 2 weeks time spans, depending on what you do for a living and how many sick days you're allowed to take off without penalty, just counts for it when you can just probably sell all your furniture and buy a trailer and go cross-roading against the USA or taking a train somewhere. There's just one YouTube account that I will definitely give you more info about a married couple that they're barely even home. They're literally just practically backpacking across Europe, and they vlog about it every day. And it is so beautiful over there. They go into countries that I never even heard of. That's actually their goal, to like visit every single country, of course, accessible to them, basically. I think the only country they haven't really been into is, I believe it's North Korea, for obvious reasons. But they've been to like Italy and Paris, which is the one place where I so dream of going one day, hopefully. And they make it look so easy.
Well, that's my thing, is that like I want to be a nurse and everything, but then there's also that just part of me that's like, I just want to travel. I just want to explore and just experience everything that's out there. I just don't want to stay here and be just in one area.
Yeah, I remember when I wanted to be a nurse, and my grandfather was the one who gave me an idea of um, doing like a travels nurse position. You could get to travel the world and just go out and help for those who are needed in those countries. And of course, you get paid a lot of money, probably more than what you work at as an RN. But it's always a possibility. Is like, okay, but how guaranteed is this job?
Yeah. Just like a hypothetical, if you were able to pretty much remove one holiday in the year, what would it be and why?
Oh God. I mean, try to think. I think my go-to, like one holiday that I feel like I don't understand why people exactly celebrate it, would be St. Patrick's Day. Like, and
I was just thinking about that.
like if you look it up in Ireland itself on that exact day, they don't even celebrate it. It's just a one free day. I guess Americans somehow in the past made it a day where you can leave work early and get drunk and for some reason wear green of all colors.
I like free day off. Don't ask questions.
Granted, that is very true. And the whole like merchandise of, oh, kiss me, I'm Irish, when in reality someone is actually 25% Irish, not even the whole 100%. Like if I was gonna kiss an Irish man, I might as well just go back in time and go kiss Niall Horan from One Direction.
Yes.
Here's a good question. We can all agree on that actors, models, actresses from other countries are just better actors than American actors, or in this case, hotter and just more God-given than American actors. Now, from the top of your head, hopefully, who is your favorite non-American actor or actress?
Oh, there's a lot of Korean ones I have. But, I mean, does it count if they were technically, like, okay. Technically, they're a British actor. They started in England, born in England, but they came to America and appeared on some shows. He being Andrew Lincoln, he's on The Walking Dead. I just think he's brilliant because he can literally go from a thick British accent to like a clear Southern accent, like you would not think that he was from England, like at all.
I can agree on that because I did not know he was English until for some reason I remember watching the movie Love Actually, which is like a rom-com movie, and I'll just give it to them. Like English people or Australian people or even um, Asian actors do a better American accent than most Americans who've lived here their entire lives. I believe my favorites would have to be Henry Cavill, aka Superman, or Sherlock Holmes from the Netflix movie Enola Holmes. Tom Holland, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Did not know he
Yeah,
was English.
I didn't even know that until my brother told me. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Like, you serious? I'm like, that. I'm horrible with accents. I could not imagine having to like make it seem realistic.
me neither. And um, there's an interview one time with a bunch of English actors that all said the exact same thing. Of the question that came up was, what is one performance in a movie or a TV show where an American was doing an English accent? And they all said the original film of Mary Poppins with Dick Van Dyke, because no one talks like that in England. It wasn't even as close to one of the crappier um, accents they had out there. And with that, I rewatched the original movie, and they are 100% right. That is quite offensive, and I'm not even English myself. And when it comes to female actors and when it comes to female actresses, I believe my go-to non-American um, actress would be Nicole Kidman, and she's actually Australian, not gonna lie, but she's married to Keith Urban, who is a country star singer.
Really?
Yes, happily married for many years now, and also have a Brady Bunch type family. And my favorite performance by her would have to be in Moulin Rouge. Beautiful movie.
Yes.
She did do a bunch of other movies, but for some reason I cannot think of them from the top of my head. I think the most recent movie she did, and I'm not gonna try with the title because I'm completely gonna butcher it, but it's with Ansel Elgort from The Fault in Our Stars.
Ooh, I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a very cute and given sad movie.
I don't know if this counts, but I have to say mine would have to be probably like Emma Stone because one, Harry Potter, great. And she's been in other like American movies where her acting is just really good.
I think you meant Emma Watson.
I think you're right.
Emma Stone is an American, but yes, Emma Watson, aka Hermione Granger. She did quite a few American movies. I think the last one was the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast. Oh my god, I will watch the movie 1,000 times. She also did a movie called The Circle with Tom Hanks. Another very interesting movie. And the remake of the classic Little Women that came out, I want to say 2019 to be exact, with Florence Pugh and Saoirse Ronan.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
It's a very beautiful movie. The original was with Winona Ryder back in the 90s, I believe. 90s? 80s? Probably 90s. But yes, it's based off of a book that is dearly old, and it's about feminism and the start of feminism back in the, I want to say, Victorian ages, where they wore big puffy dresses and corsets and bonnets.
Stinky.
Yes. And also within that movie we have the beautiful Timothée Chalamet. The man is top tier gold. Matter of fact, in the Netflix original movie, I think it's called The King, if I'm correct. I could be saying wrong. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but it has Timothée Chalamet, and the comments on the movie through YouTube and such and other social media platforms, everyone has said the exact same thing when it comes to Timothy Chalamet is the first American that anyone could ever know that did a spot-on English accent. And he's an American. Well, part American. He's also part French due to his father's side, given his last name.
Ooh, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yes. And he was also in the movie called Call Me By Your Name. Beautiful movie. Sad movie. Also based off of a book. And that movie will make you cry 100%.
Oh my god. My mom cries at every movie. She'd be like, no!
I am so emotional when it comes to movies. Like, you cannot expect me to sit through a Disney movie and not tear up in any sort of way. And it's kind of upsetting because I'm the only one in my family that does that. Like, sometimes things are just, like, so moving to the heart. Like, how can you not cry?
It's like, do you have no heart?
Why you don't show emotions? Why?
We always made fun of her. We're like, really? You're crying? And she's like, shut up.
That's like everyone towards me in the house. But like, why are you crying? I'm like, she found her mom.
Be like, she's been lost for 5 years. You don't understand.
She's worked hard and she worked hard every day and night trying to find the answers when the answer was right in front of her the entire time.
Like, her mom was her aunt. Dun, dun, dun.
That one Disney TV show. Oh god.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like something Mac.
Yeah, Andy Mac.
Yeah, I never saw it, but probably.
My cousin watched it, so I watched it, and then it turned weird, and then I stopped watching it.
It's like,
I went through a phase where my parents pretty much like forbid Disney being played in my house.
whoa, why?
I was one of those children that copycatted. So like what I saw on the TV, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna act like that, and it was never good. Troublesome child.
If only I could do that. I think the one show that I would try to copycat on a daily basis would be Phineas and Ferb.
Kansas. Be like, Phineas!
Mom, Phineas and Ferb are building a roller coaster.
You're like, I know I am tattletaling all the time and I might look insane and I might have to go into a mental hospital, but they're trying to do something. Watch, in real life, she's actually like picturing that and they're just playing with action figures in the backyard.
Yes. I think the one TV show that I wasn't strictly not allowed to watch, but if it was on, I got told to change the channel, was SpongeBob.
What?
Yes. I was always told that SpongeBob will make you stupid or stuff like that. And I just remember watching this big yellow high-pitched boy as a sponge like just do, I don't even remember half the episodes, but like just do dumb things with his star friend and this squid basically living in a pineapple underneath the sea, of course. And so looking back at it now, I didn't understand any of it, so that and I was already stupid, so
that hurts. I am sitting you down one day and I'm gonna make you binge watch SpongeBob. How have you never watched SpongeBob? That was like my go-to as a kid.
I don't know. I remember coming home. Oh, excuse me. Hiccups. Hello. I just remember coming home every day, 4 o'clock, and instead of watching SpongeBob, Nickelodeon, or Disney, because at some age I outgrew them, I would watch Ellen DeGeneres because she always came on at 3, and Dr. Phil. I was really big into watching Dr. Phil.
Were you a nerdy child?
Well, not really. I didn't do well in school, but I loved to read, and I was so at a very young age, I was surprisingly interested in drama, which is probably why I loved it. Um, Dr. Phil so much, of course.
You are not the father.
Oh, that's Murray.
I thought that was Jerry Springer.
Shit, it could be. I think there was one show I didn't like really watch like on TV. It was mostly like YouTube clips.
No, I'm not talking about like smart nerdy. I'm talking about like comic book like nerdy. That's the type of person like my brother would totally be like watching Dr. Phil being like, all right, where's the gossip today?
Um, hmm. I wouldn't say comic book nerdy. I never had access to comic books when I was younger, but I was fond of reading. So I read a lot of the classic series like Percy Jackson, Hunger Games, Harry Potter, but of course, a lot of like mystery books as well. And I believe the one like series of book that I wish to this day was still sold at like bookstores was Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events.
Why? That sounds so familiar.
It is. They made a movie about it back in the early 2000s with oh, I forgot his name. Patrick Neal. No, not Patrick Neal. Jim Carrey in the original film, and then Patrick Neal did a Netflix series of the movie. About 2 years ago, it came out, and I think they only did one season of it. And I never watched the series, but I watched the movie through and through, and I read the books a billion times. Like these were like my holy grail.
Were they similar, or was there like differences?
There was similars when it came to the Jim Carrey movie and the books, but I am the type of person that will say that the books are always better. Every book was compared to the movie was about 30 minutes of each, like 30 minutes of the movie was like probably one book or what happened in one book, but the major events from the books were in the movies, or in the movie to be exact.
See, I was always the opposite. I was always movie over book. I want to watch something over trying to picture it.
I can agree with that. Like, I know there's been plenty of books that, like, you were, like, I can read and be like, this would be such a good movie. And then it happened. There was a movie a few years later, like the Lemony Snicket series, Percy Jackson, Hunger Games, and Harry Potter, obviously. Another one I can think of is Annie Gillian Flynn books. She's the author of Gone Girl, the movie, and another one, I think it's I want to say an HBO series called Sharp Objects. That's another good series. And when it comes to like creating a movie or a series about based off of a book, you have to have good actors, and you have to have actors who look so similar to the characters. So I feel like when it comes to making books into a movie, it should always be with like amazing actors. Especially, I think my favorite one will have to be Hunger Games. I think the only thing I really didn't like from Hunger Games was the fact that Josh Hutcherson had to dye his hair blonde, and it wasn't even a good type of hair dye.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Though, I have to say, I did think he was cute back then.
Definitely was. Team PETA, 100%. Another one was... Another book that was made into a movie was The Girl on the Train. And now, this is the number one book that is way better than the movie. only because each chapter it's from a different character's point of view. So as you're reading the book, this is a book you just can't skim over and just like assume what happened. Like you have to read each chapter because each chapter was literally a new person or a different person, and the timeline just kept adding up, and the ending is absolutely shocking.
Ooh, that sounds actually pretty good.
It is, and this book came out, I want to say, I'm gonna go with 2015, 2016, and the movie was made in 2017, I believe. And I think the only difference about the book and the movie was the author is actually English, so the landmarks and the roads and the setting of the story in the book was actually placed in England, but in the movie it was based in New York, which is even better to be exact, because New York is also very popular.
Ooh, another one I thought of. It's not really a movie, but it's a TV series. Riverdale. That one I believe is based off of. I think it's a book or a comic. I think it was like Archie.
Yes, so Riverdale was actually based off of a comic book. I'm talking about like 1950s type drawing comic book, and it was called Archie, and the town he lived in was called Riverdale. But the absolute difference when it comes to Archie, the comic books, and Riverdale, the TV series, was definitely the storyline. Like the comic books were very like kid friendly, and then you watch the TV show, and it's like, huh, witchcraft and missing people. That sure does add up to each other. But the characters,
So like it's like the nightmare version of it.
yes, like all the bad parts about it came to life.
It got really weird at one point with the whole like Gargoyle King. I was kind of confused. I'm like some random guys just going around poisoning people. What?
I think my only favorite thing about that was I think my only favorite thing about the entire series was South Side Serpents. Oh, to join the gang, I would sell my soul.
Yes. And Jughead. Oh, Cole Sprouse. Beautiful. Perfect.
Cole Sprouse, childhood, like crush since Zack and Cody days, top tier.
I agree 100%.
All right, it is quite late right now. It's 12:25, and so I think we did a fantastic job today. First episode.
Yeah, we were aiming to do like only like 15-30 minutes, and we did over an hour.
Oh my god.
I think around a 1 hour.
The views. Blessed be.
And I'd just like to say again, thank you for our sponsor of Anchor for sponsoring this video, because seriously, if it wasn't for this app, we really wouldn't be getting out here into the world and showing who we are and just what thoughts we want to talk about. And I hope you viewers can send some suggestions to our email, which again is tonightsneurotictalk@gmail.com, or our Instagram, which is also the same thing. We will all answer every questions you have in messages that you want to send. And if you want any anonymous stories to be sent and heard, let us know.
Yes, oh god, I just can't wait to get emails. And thank you so much for listening and for tuning into our first episode. We will have a new episode every week, once a week. And to also keep up with our notifications, we'll be posting on Instagram, and you guys are 100% hopefully to follow us as well on there. We will also give out little previews on our Instagram and summaries of what today's topics will be talked about.
I don't know if they have a subscribe thing, but I'm also going to say this. Don't forget to subscribe to both our YouTube channel and our podcast here in Anchor, because we would love if you got our notifications so you can join us if we ever go live on our podcasts.
And also on Anchor, you can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And of course, just one last for the road. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight's Neurotic Talk. I'm Junior.
I'm Mina.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much for listening.